Hello and welcome to AEF TV in association with Engerati. I'm joined now by Sahid Mohammed, who is the CEO of Libera Electric Corporation. Firstly, Shahid, thank you for making the time to be here. Busy conference, taking time out to talk to us. And we were talking off air a little bit about some of the key issues you see in terms of perhaps reform of utilities and infrastructure and getting more access to power. And what do you see as some of the key issues, some of the key hurdles to achieving that?
Yeah. First of all, Aaron, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
The key issues about the sector reforms that we're facing is why the access in Africa is so low. It's a huge question that's been discussed here. Why the access is so low, and we're told about the numbers, is the access in Africa is less than 20%. It's extremely low from the rest of the world standards. And the way I look at it is that the real bottleneck is how the management of publicly owned utilities is conducted. This model of publicly government-owned utilities management and government-appointed senior management tend to have not worked well. We see that this model has lacked accountability, it lacked transparency, it lacked capacity, and it lacked the vision. And it lacked the vision into the future. And because of all these issues, the required investments have not been able to come through. That's the major issue, why there is an issue. So there is a solution for that. And the solution is that these bottlenecks can only be removed by investments that come in, as well as the expertise. There are two different things that need to be brought in.
So just on that point, so what you're saying is, and with that statistic of less than 20% access, is there a way of breaking that down and say, well, okay, across the board it's less than 20% access, but where we have a utility that's not run as a public utility, we have seen 30% access, 40% access as a result of that. Is that statistic out there?
We have an example of South Africa. Mm-hmm. When I say that the sector reforms in there, they're done such that the utilities are run in a more professional way, and you see in the result, the access there in South Africa is more than 70%. So that's the professional way of running the utility. Now, in other parts where the utilities are not run in a professional way, obviously the access is extremely low. Many reasons, because the required investments would never come through, because the whole process, the whole business process is flawed. Because the whole thing of the absorption rate of the investments is not going through. It's not transparent. The process is not transparent. And then the benefits are not going through to the required ends. That's not happening. So the solution is basically is that you have to bring in the expertise. The experts are the ones who are to run the utilities. And there are different models that one can do. There are concessions that have been experimented. There are model of some professions. For example, concession has been experimented in Rwanda. In Uganda, that worked to some extent. Rwanda, they looked at a different model. A professional manager, professional CEO is hired, and that really helped. But the best model which has worked in vast different other areas is the management contracting itself. The management contracting is the model which combines the pros of all various models, because for us to be able to manage the utility well, you need the expertise and you need the government support. Yeah. And the problem with the concession is that the government support is usually not there when it is required. But the management contracting is a model where the government still owns the utility, and the risk of operation is passed down to the operator. And the operator brings in all the best experts from the developed world, and then they bring in all the lessons they've learned at the other places, and they build it.
Yeah, so it's similar to kind of you buy a license to operate the utility for 10, 15, whatever years as a private company, but the government still owns the infrastructure, and at the end of that time there's another bidding process. Is that how it works?
Kind of, but
Right.
it's a little different from that.
Right.
It's a little different. It's not the sessions. It's still government-owned utility. Government still owns it through the board of directors, and they just hire a company through a competitive bidding process to fill in the key positions.
Right.
The position of CEO, position of different division heads and all this stuff. And then if there is some other middle management positions are required. And the company, the successful operator is a performance based. So they have to hit certain performance targets. The compensation is based on the performance. And this is usually from 3 to 5 years duration. And the government still provides you the support that is required, and then that gives an incentive for the operator for them to continue performing well, as with the support of the government, and that works well. This experiment has been tested in Kenya, that went tremendously well. I'm currently doing it in Liberia, so we have turned around the company. We turned around the Kenya Power Lighting at that point in time. We turned around Libera Elec Corporation. In fact, Libera Elec Corporation is just resurrected. So we brought it to a point where it is now an organization which everybody is aware of it, and we're moving forward. We're doing a similar thing in Nigeria. We're managing the transmission company. The idea is that we bring in accountability, we bring in transparency, we bring in capacity building. For a few years, we run it, and then we leave it with the locals, and the locals then we do it in a sustainable way.
Right.
The capacity building happens in a way such that by the time you leave, the locals can continue from where you left. And the prime example is that of Kenya Power. When we did it together with Kenya Power Board of Directors, at that point in time, before we started, Kenya Power were connecting about 30,000 customers per year, and then the target was 120. We came in, we did for 140,000 customers. But after we left, they continued at the rate of 200,000. That's consistency, that's sustainability.
And it also brings the skills into the company, creating local jobs, and bringing the skills base up. So, I mean, that to me sounds immensely sensible. So, I go back to your earlier observation. Where's the bottleneck of being able to do that to a bigger scale or a greater scale? Because I don't know, maybe I'm being naive, because I sit here and I listen to you. That sounds like common sense. Why wouldn't you do that? And why wouldn't you do that at a faster scale than is happening at the moment? So where are the barriers? Are they political?
There are some political barriers. It is more about awareness as well. But it is happening at a tremendous rate. Like I say, just in Africa, we've done it about 7-8 different places. We've seen it. This has happened. The other thing is, I give you an example of Libera Elec Corporations again. The investors would not bring in money if they wouldn't have a confidence how the utilities is managed. So once you increase their confidence, you see the money coming in. So for the case of Libera Elec Corporation, when we started the capital program that was given to us, that was worth of about $54 million. Just within 3 years' time, that capital project, the donors' confidence went so high that it has grown up to $500 million by now.
Right.
So as they see the results coming in, as they see the absorption rate, the projects are getting done, completed on time, completed in a professional way, on time, under budget, then the more money comes in, and then the benefit goes around to the people that helps you increase the access.
And that's a natural progression when you can point to case studies, say, look, investment wasn't thrown away, it was used wisely, it was built sustainably, and you're getting those returns. So another question, slightly more situational, because we are here at AEF, sitting on a pedestal looking out at a conference. If I can turn you into a reporter for a second, and if I were to ask you over the sort of day and a half that you've been here, what would be the one sort of conversation, dialogue, or clusters of conversations that you would say, I'm really excited that those conversations are happening? And then ask you the other question, which is, what are some of the conversations that are still happening and you're going, I can't believe we're still having this conversation. I can't believe we haven't solved that problem. So there's two questions, and turning you into a reporter.
Yeah. I think what I've observed here is that what has not happened is that this topic of public-private partnership has not been discussed in more detail. There is one session. I think a lot more need to be done, because here is an opportunity. You really need the private sector to come in, to come with the investment and come with the expertise. Without that, it's not going to happen. Without there are two major components that we require. We require investments and we require the expertise. And they both would only come from the private sector.
Yes.
So public-private partnership arrangements need to be expanded as much as possible. And especially the public-private partnership has already happened. A lot of it has happened in generation, but not much has happened in distribution and transmission.
Exactly.
And that means that we are missing a major part of the whole holistic business picture. If we will not solve this part, we'll not be able to continue attracting the other investments. So that's a part which happened. I saw it happening, but it needed to happen at a bigger scale.
So in that essence, because I had a couple of interviews where people were talking about PPPs, from the Treasury in South Africa and various other speakers. It's a hugely complex issue. And what I also found is people saying, well, actually, no one size fits all. You got to look at the situation. You got to say, right, is it relevant for here, and what model is relevant? What constituencies would you like to see brought together to effectively have that PPP discussion at an event like this? What do you think is missing? Do we need more of the sort of the lawyers? Do we need more consultants? Or is it just more of everything?
I think that the level of participation is good enough. We have seen participation from the government, from the regulators, from the private sector, from everybody, from the financiers. So the participation is there. The players, the stakeholders are all here. It's just that the topic is not focused as to a scale that where it is needed to. That is something that urgently is required, I believe. Here's another thing. The solutions need to be customized for the problem. For a different country, there is a different solution. There are pros and cons to every strategy. So when we talk about PPP, usually one of the cons people talk about is that it has an impact on the tariff. The tariff would go up because you have to ensure the return on the equity. Now that's okay. When some investment comes in, you have to ensure the return on the equity and eventually be paid by the ratepayers. So that's okay for the generation part. But what people are missing is that on the distribution side, when that know-how comes in, the expertise comes in, it helps you actually improve efficiencies from within. And when you create that efficiency from within, that helps you reduce the tariff.
Yeah.
So there are two things. When you bring PPP in the generation side, it has an impact in terms of increasing the tariff. On this side, of distribution, if you bring in the PPP arrangement, it helps you reduce the tariff, which is actually very, very positive.
And those two
can be balanced
out, things like that. And what was also interesting with the South African model, where you get that market force coming in with competitive and open bidding, so that they found that they actually drove tariffs down, even and this is on the renewable generation side of things. we're kind of coming to the end of our time here, and it's a shame we are, because I feel like there are other areas that we could explore, and I'm particularly tuning into this whole PPP issue and things like that. My final question to you is, if you take one thing back from here in terms of, it's great that this conversation, or this is something that I've learned about being at this event, what would that be, just as a matter of interest?
I think this message has come out strong. It's still going forward, and many people are talking about it, and I've already spoken to a few more people, and then I've heard there are people who are interested in more management contracting. I think this model needs to be replicated in Angola. This model needs to be replicated in Ghana. We're already doing it in Nigeria and many other countries. Mm-hmm. This is something which is the only way the Africa can get up and get to the level of the developed world, because the only difference is the utilities need to be run in a professional way. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
And it can only be run by professionals. That's what the message is. And I'm happy that few people have already started talking about it, and more of it will come in the future.
And what seems to be coming out from what you're saying is it's that skills transfer. More of that skills transfer, more of that knowledge transfer, and then that'll start getting everything moving. So like I said, it's a shame we're coming to the end of our time here. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And thank you as well for watching. It's been AEF TV, and you can see this on the AEF website, Energy website, and Gujarati as well. Thank you.